Welcome to the deep dive, where we take those stacks and stats of research and really get into it.
We do?
And today, we are transporting ourselves to the rugged cliffs of Cornwall.
Ooh, dramatic.
Yeah, and we're diving into a novel that spans decades and connects two women in ways they couldn't possibly imagine.
It's really quite clever the way the author brings these two timelines together. I mean, you have Tilly, this vivacious young woman right in the middle of World War II in the 1940s.
Oh, wow.
And then Ava, who's dealing with her own personal struggles in present day.
It's almost like their stories are mirroring each other somehow.
Exactly. And the setting itself, this house called Cliffview, becomes almost like another character.
Perched right on the edge there.
Right on the edge of the cliffs. And Cornwall itself, with its haunting beauty, its history steeped in folklore, it just adds this whole other layer to the story.
So let's go back in time for a second,
Yeah.
okay? To 1940s England.
Right.
The war is looming, the air is thick with the sense of anxiety, you've got rationing going on, and it's in this atmosphere that we meet Tilly.
19 years old,
Full of life.
full of dreams.
And yearning for something more.
And then along comes Jack, this charismatic American soldier who just sweeps her off her feet.
Oh, he sounds like quite the character.
He really is. And the way the author writes their first encounter, it's like you're right there with them. You can feel the electricity, the way he looks in his uniform, the allure of the unknown.
And you can't forget about that Hershey's bar.
Oh, absolutely. A Hershey's bar at a time of scarcity. It's a symbol of hope, of everything she's yearning for.
But there's this interesting thing the author does right from the beginning, like these little hints of foreshadowing.
Oh, tell me more.
Like when Jack's comrade Danny makes that comment about blind flying.
Interesting.
It makes you wonder, right? Are Jack's intentions as genuine as they appear?
And then there's Tilly's mother.
Oh, yeah. What about her?
She's not convinced about Jack at all.
Yeah.
She warns Tilly about American soldiers, tells her to be careful.
But we all know how that usually goes, right? The more you try to hold someone back, the more they want to break free.
Especially a headstrong young woman like Tilly.
Exactly. And you have to remember the context here. We're talking about wartime England. Women were expected to do their duty to follow the rules.
And along comes Jack, disrupting everything.
He represents a world outside of wartime England, a world of possibilities.
And Tilly's yearning for him, it speaks to this desire for agency, for control over her own destiny.
It was huge for women at that time.
It was a time of upheaval and change, and Tilly's actions, they challenged the status quo.
So she starts exchanging letters with Jack.
Secretly.
And these letters, they become her lifeline, a beacon of hope in the midst of all this darkness and uncertainty.
You can really feel Tilly clinging to this dream of a future with Jack, a future far away from the war.
And then 1944 arrives and everything changes.
What happened?
We get this incredibly powerful letter from Jack. He's on the eve of a dangerous mission, and he pours his heart out to Tilly.
He's promising her the world.
The world.
And that's when the author leaves us hanging.
Oh, no.
Did Jack survive the war? Did he ever make it back to Tilly? We're left with this unanswered question that just hangs over everything.
It's like the story itself is holding its breath.
And then we're catapulted into the future, 2015.
Wow, talk about a time jump.
Tilly is in her 80s now. She's in a rehabilitation facility, battling not just physical pain, but the echoes of her past.
The war, the losses, the unanswered questions, it's all there, isn't it?
It's heartbreaking to see how those wartime experiences have shaped her life, her relationship with her daughter, the constant presence of Nurse Evangeline, and this weight of what might have been.
It makes you wonder how differently things might have turned out
if circumstances had been different, if fate had taken a different turn.
Exactly, and it's with that thought that we transition from Tilly's story to Ava's story, and what a contrast it is. We're talking about two completely different worlds, two completely different sets of challenges.
But in a way, they're both searching for the same thing.
What's that?
Solace, a sense of belonging, a chance to escape the ghosts of their pasts.
It's like they're both drawn to Cornwall for a reason.
Like it holds some kind of unspoken promise for them.
Maybe it does.
It really is fascinating when you think about it. Both Tilly and Ava drawn to the same place, each seeking refuge in their own way.
It's like Cornwall has this almost like a magnetic pull for them, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and, during the war, Cornwall was seen as this kind of safe haven.
Really?
People would flock from the cities trying to escape the bombing raids.
Wow, I can only imagine.
And for Ava, it represents that same chance to escape, to disappear into the beauty of it all.
To outrun those inner demons.
Exactly. But as we're starting to see, even in a place as idyllic as Cornwall, you can't outrun yourself, can you?
Not entirely, and that's where the story takes this really interesting turn.
Fill me in.
So we're taken back to 1943, just before Jack sends that fateful letter.
Oh.
And we get this glimpse into his world through a diary entry.
A diary entry. How personal.
It is, and it really gives you a deeper understanding of who Jack is beyond the uniform.
What do you mean?
Remember how he told Tilly he makes pictures, not furniture?
Right.
Well, this diary entry reveals that he's actually quite the artist.
So he's a man of hidden depths.
Exactly. But he's also a man caught in the throes of war, and his diary entry doesn't shy away from that.
It must be pretty raw.
It is. He describes the bombing raids, the constant fear, the camaraderie, the way these men clung to each other in the face of unimaginable danger.
It makes you realize that beneath the charm and the charisma, Jack was carrying a lot.
He was, and reading his words, you begin to understand why Tilly was so drawn to him.
He represented an escape from all of that.
He did. He offered her hope connection, a glimmer of light in the darkness.
It makes their story all the more poignant, right?
It does, because you know it can't last forever, and there are these subtle hints throughout this diary entry.
Oh, like what?
Little things like when Jack describes a railroad like a fallen ladder, or those eerie gurgling sounds over the radio.
Okay, that's kind of creepy.
It is right, and it creates this sense of foreboding, this feeling that things might not turn out the way they hoped.
Like the author is preparing us for the possibility that Jack might not make it back.
Exactly, and it makes those stolen moments between them, those letters they shared, all the more precious.
Because they're clinging to every bit of hope they can find.
Exactly. And speaking of hope, let's talk about Ava's arrival in Cornwall.
Okay.
Because I don't think anything could have prepared her for May.
May's a real character, isn't she?
That's one way to put it, but beneath that gruff exterior, you can tell she cares deeply about Tilly.
Oh, absolutely.
And that drive to Cliffview.
What about it?
May doesn't hold back, does she?
Not at all.
She gives Ava this crash course in Cornish life, the gossip, the speed cameras, everything.
It's fantastic. And, it's interesting how the author contrasts this traditional image of Cornwall with the realities of modern day.
Like those astronomical holiday rental prices.
Exactly. It's a microcosm of the larger world, wouldn't you say?
Totally. And then there's Ava caught in the middle of it all, still grappling with her own anxieties.
Remember that moment when the plane lands?
Oh, yeah.
She's a mess.
She's trying to hold it together, but you can see the fear, the uncertainty.
And that description of her reflection in the airport bathroom mirror.
Heartbreaking.
It is. You can feel the weight of her past, the way it's clinging to her.
It's like she's trying to outrun herself, but she doesn't even recognize the person in the mirror.
And then that small act of kindness from the flight attendant.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing how such a small gesture can mean so much when you're feeling lost.
It's like a lifeline.
Exactly. And speaking of lifelines, let's talk about Cliffview.
Oh boy, May tried to warn her.
She did. She said Tilly would test the patience of saints.
But nothing could prepare her for that house, could it?
No, it's like something out of a Gothic novel.
The peeling paint, the sound of the waves crashing against the cliffs.
That constant reminder of the sea's power.
And the round hole.
Don't even get me started on the round hole.
It's like this ever-present reminder that there are forces at play beyond our control.
Forces and secrets. It's like the house is a mirror, right? Reflecting all the hidden tensions and secrets.
It's brilliant the way the author does. That she brings together the characters, setting the weight of history, and creates this atmosphere of suspense.
And you can't help but feel like something big is about to happen.
Exactly like those storm clouds gathering on the horizon.
And speaking of foreshadowing, remember that photo on Tilly's door at the rehab facility?
The one where she's like 19 years old.
Yeah, standing on the cliffs looking so carefree.
Full of life.
It's such a stark contrast to the woman Ava is about to encounter.
It makes you think about how time changes us, how our experiences shape who we become.
And in Tilly's case, there are still so many unanswered questions, especially about Jack.
That mystery continues to loom large, doesn't it?
It makes you wonder what Ava will discover as she gets to know Tilly better.
Do you think she'll uncover secrets that even Tilly herself has buried?
Maybe. Or maybe by piecing together the fragments of the past, they'll both find some measure of peace in the present.
It's like they hold the missing pieces to each other's puzzles.
Exactly, and that's what I love about this story. It's not just about finding answers. It's about embracing the unknown, the messy reality of life, and the unexpected connections we make along the way.
And the ripple effects, right? How our choices and experiences can echo through generations.
Absolutely. It reminds us that the past is never truly gone. It's always there, influencing who we are and how we interact with the world.
And sometimes it takes courage to confront those ghosts, to unravel those untold stories, and find a way to move forward.
It's a powerful message, isn't it, that even in the face of adversity, even when the weight of the past feels heavy, there's always hope.
Always a glimmer of light somewhere.
Exactly. And if these excerpts have captivated you even a fraction as much as they have us, you'll definitely want to read the whole thing.
There's so much more to uncover.
So much more. And that's what we're all about here at The Deep Dive, sparking curiosity, encouraging you to think critically and explore these fascinating topics.
And hopefully walk away with more questions than answers.
Because that's what makes this journey of discovery so rewarding.
Absolutely.
Well said.